Call the witness.
Warren Lockridge to the stand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Be seated.
So, Doc, am I gonna live?
Hi. I'm so sorry. I didn't know you were with your doctor. Would you like us to come back later?
No, it's fine, actually. I'm finished. I'm sure Miss Klein would like some company.
Are you all right?
I've been better. The doctor here was just ready to give me my prognosis.
Yes, well, I just want to run some tests, and then I'll give you a definite answer.
What kind of test?
Oh, no. Don't worry. It's just strictly routine. I always like to be on the side of caution. Okay? Everything's going to be fine.
Thank God.
Except my face looks like it's been hit by a truck.
But that's going to heal. You're very lucky, you know. It could have been a lot worse. It's a good thing Reese Walker was looking out for you.
Reese Walker?
Yes, he brought Anne to the hospital.
Well, I guess we owe Reese a debt of gratitude, don't we?
How did you come to meet the defendant, Mr. Lockridge?
I was teaching a course in journalism at the university last spring, and Miss Walker was a student of mine.
Would you describe for the court the circumstances of your first meeting?
Objection. Irrelevant.
I'm laying foundation, Your Honor.
I'll allow it.
Miss Walker had just come to town. She didn't have a place to stay.
Isn't it true that she broke into your classroom, disguised as a boy, and perpetuated that fraud for months? In other words, Mr. Lockridge, isn't it true that she had already established herself as a very adept liar from the first time you met her?
I strongly urge everyone within the sound of my voice to get out today and vote. Never has there been a more crucial time for your voices to be heard. Exercise your rights and vote.
Tune in at noon for more of this special election coverage. Thank you, Dr. Gates.
I'm glad to do it. Thank you.
Congratulations, Schuyler. You were our very first voter this morning.
Great.
Are you going to be able to stick around and help me out?
No, I'm afraid I'm going to have to leave in a few minutes, Minx. I have to get over to B. J's trial.
That poor girl suffering through all this legal mumbo-jumbo after all the hell she's been through, it's just not right.
Well, you know, in a way, it might end up being good for her.
How can that be possible?
Well, this trial might be a critical element in B. J's healing process. It could force her to face the truth.
Well, no matter what happens, I'm glad she has you, Schuyler.
Hi.
Good morning.
Am I in the right place?
You certainly are, do you? Check in right over there. Isn't this fun? This is the most exciting election year that I can remember since the 60s. Not only is it the liveliest presidential race, but the local scene is absolutely fascinating.
Yeah?
I can't wait to see what happens with Mason and Julia.
You mean in terms of the election?
No, I'm talking about their marriage. No matter who walks away with the judgeship, how can it not do serious damage to their relationship?
Well, I think they'll muddle through somehow. From what I understand, they've had a lot of experience.
Well, I wish I could say the same for you. How have you managed it all this time?
I'm afraid you've lost me now, Minx.
Oh, I'm talking about staying single. I'm surprised some enterprising woman hasn't snatched you up a long time ago.
Well, maybe I'm not as desirable as you think I am.
Oh, posh. If I were younger, I would have married you myself.
Well, that's a very interesting offer. You know, you only become more lovely with each passing year. How adventurous are you feeling?
Why, Schuyler Gates, you shameless flirt. You have my answer right there.
What do you mean by that?
Well, the way you said that, so charming, so smooth, and so utterly insincere.
Oh, that's cold, Minx. Do you shoot down all your potential suitors this way?
Well, a less experienced woman probably would have puddled right there on the floor. I've always said it. You and Uorren are cut from the same cloth. Charm 'em, love him, and don't look back. Although I must admit, Warren's changed a lot in the last few months. He's absolutely devoted to B J Walker.
Excuse me, are you Dr. Schuyler Gates?
Yes, I am.
Schuyler, what's wrong?
I've been subpoenaed. I've been called to testify for the prosecution.
If there's anything I can do for you, anything at all, please just come to me. Ask me. I'll do anything, okay?
Thank you. You don't need to feel responsible for me, though. You know, I guess it was one of those wrong place, wrong time kind of things. Right, Ken?
Yeah, that's the way it looks to me.
I'm going to call the insurance company right now and make sure that all the bills are taken care of, so you don't have to even think about that. I'll be right back, okay?
I don't know what to say.
Don't say anything.
Andy, I feel terrible about this.
Right.
No, I mean it. I had no idea I was being so rough on you. Beautiful face.
Please stop, Ken. We both know this isn't the first time you've used me as a punching bag.
I know I lost it last night. I was out of control, but it's because I love you so much.
Why don't you just try loving me a little less, okay?
You know what it's like for me when I think about you being with somebody else. And I saw those sketches you did, the ones of Reese Walker, and I went crazy. And that's the only reason that I hit you. In a way, you made me do it.
Are you for real?
Oh, this isn't coming out right at all. I love you more than anything else in the world, and I don't know what I'd do if anything happened to you. I swear, sweetheart, I didn't mean to hurt you. Please. Please, just forgive me.
The prosecution's last remark constitute a false characterization of my client. It's extremely prejudicial, it has no probative value, and it's irrelevant.
If I may ask your indulgence, Your Honor, I plan to establish relevance.
I will give you some leeway, Mr. Arnold, but make your point.
Mr. Lockridge, I believe we were discussing Miss Walker's complete contempt for the law, seeing as how her first act upon arriving in Santa Barbara was to break it.
Objection.
Her first act upon arriving in Santa Barbara to correct you was to get an education. Now, if that's breaking the law, I'm sure she wasn't aware of it.
Mr. Lockridge, there are certain rules that apply to this courtroom. Number one, you will refrain from speaking unless in response to a direct question. Number two, should counsel object, you will sit there quietly while I make a ruling as to whether or not you are to be allowed to answer the question. Are those rules clear, Mr. Lockridge?
Like crystal, Your Honor.
Counselor, you had an objection.
The prosecution is blatantly trying to prejudice the jury against my client. Whether or not B J Walker was found in a classroom after school hours has absolutely nothing to do with the death of Frank Goodman, and Mr. Arnold knows that.
I'll be glad to move on.
What a good idea.
Mr. Lockridge, you stated that when you met the defendant, she was a student. Is that correct?
Yes.
Obviously, somewhere along the line, things took a turn, and they became a little bit more personal. When did that happen?
Objection. The witness's personal relationship with the defendant has no bearing on this case.
Mr. Arnold, I tend to agree with defense counsel.
I assure you, Your Honor, I have a point.
Then make it before you try my patience.
I'll repeat the question. When did your relationship with the defendant go from that of professor-student to something more personal?
That's hard to say.
Take your time, Mr. Lockridge. We have all day.
B J Walker was one of the brightest young writers I'd ever encountered. And in her time in my class, I became sort of a mentor for her. She wasn't very confident in her abilities, therefore, as her professor, I thought it was my duty to help develop her talents.
Weren't you involved in a live-in relationship with Angela Cassidy at that time?
I was.
Didn't you, in fact, terminate that relationship to pursue the defendant?
Objection. What does Mr. Lockridge's love life have to do with this trial?
Overruled. Witness will answer.
Angela and I broke up, yes.
Was it painful?
Not very.
I've seen Angela Cassidy. I have to admit, you're a stronger man than I.
Your Honor.
Move along, Mr. Arnold.
Are you in the habit of dating your students, Professor Lockridge, women that, by definition, are much younger than you?
No.
B J Walker was what, exceptional?
Quite.
In what way?
I don't know if I understand the question.
How did this teenager manage to tempt you away from a mature, very provocative woman like Angela Cassidy?
I think I know what you're insinuating, Mr. Arnold, so let me clear it up for you right now. I have never, nor do I now, have a sexual relationship with B.J. Walker.
Your Honor, this is outrageous. I move that this whole testimony be stricken.
I'll withdraw the question. May I have a moment, Your Honor?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Lockridge, what happened between you and the defendant on the night of September 22nd?
September 22nd? I don't know.
I'll be happy to refresh your memory. You and Miss Walker were in the pool house at the Capwell home. Please tell the court what happened.
There you are.
Carla, what are you doing here?
What else, Mike? I've come to see you.
I always thought you hate the smell of hospitals.
I hate this tension between us even more. Can't you find it in your heart to forgive me? I was insecure. I had you followed. A photograph was taken. But I love you, darling. This only goes to prove how much. Any other man would be flattered.
You know, you amaze me. The way your convoluted little mind works. Your flattery has caused a great deal of trouble in a marriage that's already on the road to disintegration.
What is that to do with us?
Well, if you don't know that, I'm certainly not going to enlighten you on it. You want my forgiveness? Then you explain your impetuousness to Reese and to Jody, and then you apologize for it.
Impossible. I have pride, Micah.
Good.
All right. I admit it, I fought dirty. But that's the way we always fought. Up until now, my possessiveness has intrigued you. How do I know that you've changed the rules?
You know my terms. Unless you find some way of abiding by those terms, you and I have nothing more to say to each other. Oh, you must excuse me. After all, this is my place of business.
Would you like me to repeat the question?
I heard the question.
We're all waiting for your answer then. What happened the night of September 22nd at the Capwell pool?
Well, that was quite some time ago. It would help me a great deal if you could be a little more specific.
Certainly. B.J. Walker stabbed you with a pair of garden scissors. Isn't that so, Mr. Lockridge?
What is the significance of this line of questioning?
I'm surprised at you, Counselor. You've been practicing law for quite a while now. This testimony goes directly to the predisposition to violence that exists in this defendant.
My client's character is not on trial here.
Sidebar, both counsel.
Establishing a so-called predisposition toward violence is inadmissible, and you know it, Ben. B.J. Walker is on trial for the murder of Frank Goodman, period. She is not on trial for anything else.
We're dealing with a very disturbed young woman, Your Honor. I think the jury has a right to know just how disturbed she is.
Mr. Arnold, I have given you some latitude today. If you step over the line, I'm going to throw out this entire line of questioning and instruct the jury to disregard. Proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I thought I could count on you to be fair. Obviously, I was wrong.
Again, I'll ask. What were the events that night at the Capwell pool house?
I don't remember.
Mr. Lockridge, do I have to remind you you're under oath?
I said I don't remember.
Your Honor, given the witness's intimate relationship with the defendant and his refusal to answer, I ask the court's permission to deal with Mr. Lockridge as a hostile witness.
Granted. Proceed accordingly.
I'd like to enter into evidence prosecution exhibit number 5. It's a pair of garden scissors that was found at the Capwell pool house.
Oh. It may be marked Exhibit 5.
I object to this whole line of questioning.
Your objection is noted, Counselor.
Mr. Lockridge, these scissors were tested. Interestingly enough, the blood on them was found to be type O negative. What's your blood type?
I don't know.
Well, fortunately, the Santa Barbara PD has it on file. It's O negative, just for your future information.
Appreciate that.
Fingerprints were lifted from these scissors, B Jay Walker's fingerprints. Now, are you going to sit there and deny to this courtroom that she took these scissors and stabbed you with them?
You're under oath, Mr. Lockridge. You're compelled to respond.
I don't think I quite understand the dynamics of what happened that night, Mr. Arnold.
Luckily, you don't have to understand the dynamics of what happened. We can leave the interpretation to the jury. From the bloodstains here, it seems that you sustained a fairly deep wound. Is that correct?
Don't you think that if I had been stabbed, I would have gone to a doctor or to a hospital? Now, if this investigation is so thorough, obviously you know I did neither.
Maybe you found someone to treat the wound.
Objection. Who is the witness here, Mr. Lockridge or Mr. Arnold?
Sustained. Refrain from speculation, Counselor.
Enough of wasting this court's time. Did B Jay Walker stab you, yes or no?
No.
Order. We will have some order in this courtroom.
That's your answer.
I said no.
Your Honor, I ask to dismiss this witness for the time being, subject to recall.
If the defense counsel has no objection.
No objection, Your Honor.
Very well, you may step down.
Aren't you going to cross-examine him?
I think the best thing would be to keep Warren off the witness stand.
Call your next witness, Mr. Arnold.
People wish to recall Connor McCabe. You're still under oath, Mr. McCabe.
I think I'm next, buddy. I was just subpoenaed.
I was afraid of that.
Are these the scissors you found at the Capwell pool house?
Yes.
Did you test them for bloodstains?
Yes.
And what did you find?
The blood on those scissors is O negative, the same type as Warren Lockridge.
Did you test them for fingerprints?
Yes, I did.
And was there a match?
Yes, there was. They belong to B Jay Walker.
Objection. Inconclusive.
Oh, touche, Counselor. You're quite right. Miss Walker could have injured Warren, cutting a newspaper article. Is that possible, Mr.
No,
McCabe?
it's not.
Why is that?
May I see those?
Yes.
Well, given the angle of the prints, these scissors were not used in a cutting position. They would have to have been held like this.
This time, I'd like to recall Warren Lockridge.
No, just let me know when you're ready.
Thank you.
All right, Micah, you win.
Well, what's my prize?
You want me to apologize to you, Reese and Jody? I will. I will do whatever it takes to make things right between us again.
I like to think that the reason you're saying this is because you think it's true. But I'll take whatever I can get.
Yeah, I have a fantastic idea. Why don't I throw a little party for the Walkers?
Carla, I hardly think that's appropriate, considering the fact that their daughter's on trial for murder.
Nonsense. That's exactly what they need to keep their minds off this dreary business.
Yeah, I don't understand you. Is this how you look upon this, as some dreary business? It happens to be their only daughter's life.
You think because I have no children that I'm without feelings? I know what it's like to love someone, to care for somebody more than life itself. I don't know what you expect of me, Micah. I've tried so hard to fit back in your life. But I feel like you push me away at every turn. I don't...
Dr. DeAngelis, Miss Klein's x-rays are in.
Thank you. We'll discuss this later.
Micah.
I said later.
Now I'm absolutely more confused than ever. There's no sign of a forced break-in. How did the burglars get in? What did they do? Waltz right past security, and there's nothing taken. How do we know it's a burglary at all? What are they doing?
I don't know. Andy said she scared them. Maybe she surprised. I don't know. She surprised them.
Ken, because she's so terribly formidable? They've completely put her out of commission.
Okay. I don't want to worry about this anymore, sweetheart. It's over.
Ken, I was thinking, what if it was some sort of inside job? I mean, what if it wasn't a theft at all?
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about that we don't know anything about Andy. I never did a great security check on her. I think maybe she could be trouble.
I don't think so. She's always been very upfront.
Maybe she has, maybe she hasn't. But I think I should do a thorough check on her background just to be safe.
Sophia, I think you're overreacting. If you want me to do it, I'll do it for you.
No, I'll do it. It's my responsibility. I'm the one who hired her, and I hired her against your better judgment. I'm going to start her employee information sheet. I'm going to do it right now.
Still under oath, Mr. Lockridge. After Mr. McCabe's expert testimony, do you still deny that any stabbing took place?
Objection. Asked and answered.
Nice try, Counselor.
You don't like that one, Mr. Arnold? How about the fact that this defendant is not on trial for stabbing Warren Lockridge?
If you two are quite finished, may I make a ruling? Thank you. Given the nature of this case, I'm going to allow the question.
Mr. Lockridge, take off your shirt.
I beg your pardon?
Take off your shirt.
No.
Your Honor.
You're going to have to comply, Mr. Lockridge.
Is that what you're looking for? It's quite a memento. I'd say you're lucky to be standing here today. Of course, Frank Goodman wasn't so lucky.
I demand the counsel's last remarks be stricken from the record.
So ordered, the jury will ignore the prosecution's last comments. You know better than that, Mr. Arnold.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I can see why you'd take B.J. Walker under your wing. She's obviously a very troubled young woman.
Really?
You're entirely out of order, Mr. Arnold. You've gone far too far. I will not warn you again. The jury will disregard the prosecution's last comments.
She didn't know what she was doing. She was upset. She thought...
She thought what?
Nothing.
No, please, finish your thought.
Aren't you going to stop me for speaking out in your court, Mason?
If she didn't know what she was doing, did she know what she was thinking?
How am I supposed to know what she thought?
Was she thinking that she was stabbing Frank Goodman? Was she killing Frank Goodman all over again that night?
This is indefensible, Your Honor.
Do you know what the problem with this entire case is? You don't know what the hell you're talking about. Do you know how many young girls are victimized by molestation in this country?
Order in this
One
court.
out of 3. Do you even care?
Order!
Do you even care?
Mr. Lockridge, order in the court. If you don't sit down immediately, I will find you in contempt.
Well, I am in contempt. And this man that you call a prosecutor is an insult to the entire judicial system. You all are. This trial's an embarrassment.
I'm warning you, Mr. Lockridge.
Well, warn me all you like, because I, for one, don't want to sit here and listen to the persecution of a young, innocent girl.
That's it. You're in contempt. Remove the witness.
I can walk myself.
Please don't do this. He doesn't deserve to go to jail.
BJ, I'll be fine. Don't worry.
Mason, please, you
Miss
can't do
Capwell,
this.
restrain your client.
So, is Andy dangerous?
We'll find out soon enough.
There's nothing else to do.
No, not right now.
Good. Now let's get to work, because the new spring designs are due and we can't afford to get behind.
That's a good idea. I've got something very exciting to show you.
Good.
I did some new sketches, and I know it's last minute, but I think they're just wonderful, and I think they'll sell like crazy.
What is it?
Ken?
What?
Look, it's my sketches. They're not here. They're gone. This is the answer. This is what they wanted. They're all gone. The entire spring line has been taken.
Well, there's got to be copies of it somewhere.
There are no copies anywhere. This could put us out of business.
Oh, boy.
Ken, what are you doing?
I'm taking a tranquilizer. I need one. Do you want one? No, maybe you shouldn't. These are much stronger than the ones you've been taking, and we know what happens every time you take one.
Give me one, please.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure. Please.
All right. Let's take one.
Therefore, I'm denying the motion for a mistrial. But I would like to see both counsels before we proceed. Mr. Arnold, Miss Capwell. Hear me, Mr. Arnold, because I've never been more serious in my life. From this moment onward, there will be no more theatrics, no more grandstanding, and no more stunts in my courtroom. Another 5 minutes of your antics, and Miss Capwell's motion would have been granted. Now, I suggest we call it quits and reconvene tomorrow morning. Proceed.
Good idea, Judge. Give us all a chance to vote for you.
This sidebar is over. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you are instructed to disregard the prosecution's last comments, as well as Mr. Lockridge's outburst. They are both being stricken from the records in their entirety. You will also erase from your memories any testimony or evidence concerning the alleged stabbing of Mr. Lockridge. I am ruling in Ms. Capwell's favor concerning the alleged stabbing. It has absolutely no bearing whatsoever on the case before us, and any further testimony will be deemed inadmissible. May I remind you to discuss this case with no one. This court is adjourned until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
All rise.
Are you all right?
Forget about me. What's going to happen to Warren?
Sweetheart, you must be exhausted. Let us take you home.
No, I have to go to Warren. Julia, can you talk to Mason? Do you think that you could get permission for me to see him?
I think so. We'll come with you.
No, I have to go alone. Warren needs me.
Well, I guess you'll be leaving to visit your sick friend in the hospital?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I do need to do that, so I'll catch up with you later.
Well, slight concussion. No internal injuries I'm happy to report.
How about any permanent scarring?
No, just superficial wounds. You'll look as beautiful as ever within a week or two.
When can I go home?
Well, I'd like to see you stay overnight. Just in case there are any complications. But honestly, I don't think there will be.
Thank you, Dr. DeAngelis.
I'm going to check on you once more before I go. Excuse me. Crazy? What are you doing here? What are you thinking? Interrupting me while I'm with a patient? What's going on?
kind of question is that? I'm crying, you fool.
That's amazing. I've never seen you shed a tear in all the years I've known you. I thought you were beyond this kind of trickery.
Well, this tear is a real, Mike. I love you so much. If I've been too demanding, I'll change. I'll make it up to you.
Doctor. Hi.
Oh, hi. Reese, you came to see our new patient?
Well, if it's okay.
Sure. Go ahead.
Mr. Walker, there's something I'd like to say to you.
I'll pass, if it's all the same to you.
You were going to do it. You were going to apologize.
Are you listening to me at all? I will do anything to keep you.
So the doctor says I can go home tomorrow.
Well, that's great news, isn't it?
Thank you so much for what you did for me.
Hey, it's really no big deal. I would have done the same thing for anybody.
So how are things going at your daughter's trial?
Not very good. I'd really rather not talk about that.
Sure. Why are you looking at me like that? My face.
No. No, Andy, it's not your face. It's your story about the break-in. Any beat-walking rookie cop would know that that story doesn't hold water.
I don't know what you mean.
You're trying to protect someone. And for the life of me, I can't figure out why you'd protect someone after he did something like this to you. Now, talk to me, Andy. What happened? It was Ken Mathis, wasn't it? I knew it. Well, I'll promise you one thing. That scum has just hit his last woman.
No, Reese. Please don't do anything.
Don't do this. Don't punish my family for the mistakes that I have made. I know I shouldn't have lied, okay? I know that. I made a mistake, but it was my mistake. Come after me. Don't take BJ away from me, too. Please don't make her suffer anymore. Don't take my little girl. I'm begging you.
So, how does it feel to be God?
What?
To be responsible for the fate of everyone around you. It seems like a very heavy load for someone who I'm willing to bet is merely human.
BJ, I can only give you a few minutes. So you can convince him to walk in there and apologize to the court. I can have him out of here in a couple hours. So work on it.
Did you hear what he said?
Yeah, I heard him.
So do it. Do it. We can get out of here.
BJ, I don't think so.
What?
Don't you see, honey? I'm better off here in jail. Because when I'm in here, I can't hurt you anymore.
You can't keep doing this, Jody. You've got to stop blaming yourself for everything that's happened.
I'm a mother, Skylar. I didn't take care of my family. How do I not blame myself for that?
You know what I think? I think you have incredibly high standards of behavior, especially when it comes to Jody Walker.
I do. I mean, haven't you heard? I'm Superwoman. It's a laugh. And you're right. This weight is killing me. But I don't know how to shake it off. Do you think you can help me?
I know I can.
Well, Reese, man of the hour. I understand Andy would have been in a lot worse shape if you hadn't reacted so quickly. I guess we owe you a great deal. Guess again, pal.
I owe you, and I'm here to pay up.
Hi, Minx. Hi. I thought you'd be in court all day.
We're in recess until tomorrow morning. Warren got himself thrown into jail.
Oh, good heavens, what happened?
Contempt of court.
Why am I not surprised?
Well, after I vote, I'm going to see if I can go talk some sense into him. May I?
Minx?
Mason, I've been conducting my own little poll here, and so far, you and Julia are neck and neck. Enjoy it while you can.
Such a vote of confidence. Thank you, Minx.
I hear you had quite a day in court. Was jailing my grandson absolutely necessary?
I'm truly sorry for that. I sympathized with his motivation, but under the circumstances, I had no choice.
I'm sure that's probably true. It's funny, isn't it? How love always seems to make trouble for people.
Mason, this is highly improper.
How else am I expected to manage a few moments alone with my wife?
I'm not so sure I want a few moments alone with you.
Did you cast your vote?
No, I checked my makeup.
Well, it's flawless. Did you vote for me?
In your dreams.
You realize, of course, this is it. What happens in the next few hours is going to alter the course of the rest of our lives.
You know, I was wondering if we finally outsmarted each other.
Meaning?
Meaning, this is not about who wins anymore. It's about what's left of us when all of this is over.
Get out while you can.
You're rotten.
Warren, what are you saying? You found out something, haven't you?
I didn't say that.
You didn't have to. I can tell you're keeping something from me.
Sorry,
Warren,
miss,
you found out
time's
something
up.
horrible, haven't you? No, please, just a few more minutes. Warren, tell me.
Go home, BJ.
Tell me.
Look, you're gonna have to
Let
leave
me
now.
go, please, Warren. Tell me what's happened. Warren! Warren!
Sean found her husband-to-be with 2 naked women in the bedroom the night of his bachelor party. Meet the stripper who slept with him and many others today at 2 on Jenny Jones.